Oh, hi there. I'm Seth MacFarlane, creator of the television series Family Guy.
How many of you out there are old enough to remember when Family Guy was actually good? Now that might sound a little harsh, but it's also true. After all, how many sitcoms are still at their peak after 22 seasons? The pilot episode, Death Has a Shadow, premiered back in 1999.
Oh, no.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Oh yeah!
After an initial cancellation by Fox in 2002 and a triumphant return in 2005, it became a cultural phenomenon. Even if you didn't watch the show, you still knew the characters and references. But in the last decade, it has gone from essential viewing to just another piece of content produced by Fox. But I already covered the day Family Guy died a few years back on my channel, so how about we go all the way back to the beginning and find the first episode that perfectly encapsulated everything we loved about Family Guy in this video, the day Family Guy was born. But first, let me thank the sponsor of this video, Factor. I work multiple jobs and have 2 kids, so I don't always have the time or energy to cook at home. But I also don't want to spend a lot of money eating out or eating junky fast food. Factor sends me fresh, never frozen meals made by gourmet chefs directly to my house, and it's seriously a lifesaver. As it says right on the box, just heat, eat, and get back to your goals. And that's exactly what I need. Meals ready in 2 minutes, no shopping, prepping, cooking, or cleaning. Like I said, a real lifesaver. If you're like me and you need a little help around the house, you really need to go check out Factor. Factor has 35 different meals and more than 60 add-ons to choose from every week, so you'll always have new flavors to explore. They have everything from filet mignon, shrimp, blackened salmon, chicken, to an array of vegetables and salads. There's a variety of meals for whatever you need, including calorie smart meals, protein plus meals, and keto meals. And for fans of Entertain the Elk, Factor is more affordable than ever. Head to factor75.com or click the link below and use my code TheElk50 to get 50% off your first Factor box and 20% off your next month of orders. Again, that's factor75.com and use my unique code TheElk50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month of orders. Thanks again to Factor for sponsoring this video, and now let's get back to the essay. In the first season of Family Guy, we are introduced to the dysfunctional Griffin family of Quahog, Rhode Island. If you've only watched the later seasons of the show, watching some of these early episodes would probably make you scratch your head. The same characters are there, but so many of the characteristics are different. At the forefront is the Family Guy himself, Peter Griffin. He works at a toy factory, not a brewery, as he does in later seasons, enjoys a beer or 10, and is always ready to turn any idea that enters his head into action, no matter how reckless or nonsensical.
You can barely drive a car, and yet you are allowed to fly a blimp?
Yeah, America's great, isn't it? Except for the South.
The show is almost entirely driven by Peter, over-reliant on cutaways and situational comparisons that got them parodied by South Park years later.
You think that's bad? Remember when I auditioned to be David Hasselhoff's car? Hey there, Knight Rider.
After those bad guys, Kit.
Then there is his much smarter wife Lois, a housewife and part-time piano teacher. Lois only tolerates Peter's antics to a point. As is the case in many sitcoms, most early episodes of Family Guy follow a pattern. Peter gets into some hijinks, which often tests the limits of his relationship with Lois, and by the episode's end, the pair have reconciled.
And I'm proud of you, Peter. It's not what you do that defines the quality of your life. It's who you do it with and your family.
Shh, it's on.
A classic instance comes in the 4th episode of the first season, Mind Over Murder. In the episode, Peter is placed under house arrest after he assaults someone who insults his son, Chris, at a soccer game. While at home, Peter, tormented by his inability to hang out at his favorite bar, the Clam, with his best friends and neighbors Cleveland and Quagmire, note, Joe Swanson doesn't move next door until the next episode, is visited in a vision by the Pawtucket Patriot.
If you build a bar in this basement, your friends will come down here for a beer as well.
Build a bar. That's a great idea.
Never in need of much convincing, Peter accepts the challenge. Soon he is in heaven as his home becomes the place in town. Lois, however, is not pleased. To appease her, Peter, knowing her musical ambitions, says they were all waiting for her to go on and perform for the guys. Once she is a hit, he gets jealous and sabotages her act and the whole operation. But of course, they eventually reconcile, with Lois telling Peter all she really wants is to be loved and appreciated.
Look, I promise, if we get out of this alive, I'm gonna help out around the house and say I love you every day.
These are the kind of standard conflicts that one might expect from any sitcom. The other members of the Griffin family include the middle child, Meg, who is often the subject of unfair family ridicule, combined with the usual problems and societal pressures that come with life as a teenage girl.
I can't believe you put your family before your own daughter!
She's a whiny little runt, isn't she? I said runt.
In those early episodes, Meg is reduced to the background, not really a main force on the show, until Mila Kunis took over the role at the beginning of the second season. And then of course there is the youngest of the Griffin children, baby Stewie. An evil genius, Stewie is obsessed with one thing: killing his mother. This ongoing storyline captures the dark humor that characterized much of the show's early episodes, but after a while, it gets old, especially in the first and second seasons.
I brought your Raffy tape.
Play wheels on the bus and get the hell out of my sight.
Stewie feels more like a caricature, one-dimensional, with a catchphrase.
Victory is mine! Ah! Victory is mine! Victory is mine! Ah! Victory is mine! Victory is yours!
Not a fully developed character we can actually get to know in an intimate way. The final member of the Griffin family is their dog, Brian. Of all the characters voiced by the show's creator, Seth MacFarlane, including Peter, Quagmire, and baby Stewie, Brian is the only one that the creator plays in his own voice. In many ways, he is an alter ego for the creator himself. In later seasons, as those familiar with Family Guy will know, Brian emerges as one of the more complex characters on the show. He is at times very smart, and at other times the epitome of a pseudo-intellectual. His failed relationships are a constant source of drama, and his rare breed of dog, you know, the one who can live more or less like a human, torments his psyche. But Brian wasn't always that way. In these early episodes, Brian is more of a background character. He is mostly a kind of advisor to Peter. Sipping a martini, he dishes out wisdom, guiding his friend through his hijinks.
Boy, Lois is pretty pissed, huh?
Yes, your judgment lately has been rather... Well, you have crappy judgment anyway.
Again, not very well-rounded, but a character whose sole purpose in the early seasons mainly revolved around Peter. For the first 19 episodes of the show, Family Guy relies too heavily on sitcom tropes, and Brian and Stewie hardly have any interactions. In fact, Brian at times seems to be mostly apathetic towards the evil baby. It's not until the middle of the second season that any kind of real dynamic between Stewie and Brian begins to develop. In episode 12, 15 Minutes of Shame, the rest of the family goes on a Dr. Phil-esque reality TV show. Meg is done with her family antics, and she wants to confront them on camera. Brian and Stewie are not in the mix, and instead stay home and watch television.
Do you have Prince Albert in a can? Quiet, shut up.
Their joy at not being involved with the rest of the drama is fun to watch. Their own dynamic, one often rooted in this combative banter, begins to emerge. It also foreshadows the way they are able to exist outside of the family structure with a relationship of their own. But a real development of the Brian-Stewie relationship wouldn't come until the very next episode of that season, Rhode to Rhode Island. It was here where the focus finally shifted away from Peter and onto the duo with the best chemistry on the show. And it's the episode that truly marked the birth of Family Guy. The episode begins with a flashback. 7 years earlier, Brian's mother, Biscuit, gives birth to him at a puppy mill in Austin, Texas. Unlike his siblings and mother, Brian can talk.
Mom, do something! Mom, help! Mom!
We then flash back to the present. We find Brian recounting his memories in therapy, processing being taken from his mother as a young puppy.
My eyes were barely open and she just gave me away. Well, it's her loss, right?
In an effort to clear his head, he volunteers to go pick up Stewie in Palm Springs, where he is staying with Lois's parents. While at the airport, Brian turns to his main coping mechanism, booze.
I'm not drunk, all right? I just have a speech impediment.
His drinking at the airport, though, leads to a major problem. Their bags and tickets are stolen.
I tell you to watch the bags! But you were watching the boys again, weren't you?
And Brian and Stewie have to spend the night in a motel. While there, they get close in more ways than one. Stewie wakes up and learns that their credit card has been declined, and now penniless, they flee the motel in a stolen car and begin to make their way home. At the same time, there was a far less interesting B storyline going on with Peter and Lois. Lois asks Peter to watch a series of tapes that will improve their marriage. However, once he starts watching, the relationship counselor reveals herself to be this kind of con artist, seductress, luring whatever husband is watching these tapes to buy more.
Do you want to see more?
Yes, please.
Then you'll have to order my next tape.
And so, of course, Peter quickly becomes addicted to these tapes.
Peter, why are you so...
Get out! This is a part just for the men!
Meanwhile, Brian and Stewie find themselves hitchhiking in the back of a truck. They spot a sign that says that Austin, Texas is just 8 miles away, and Brian takes this as a sign of fate.
Don't you see? Fate's brought me back here for a reason. I have to find my mother and make peace with her.
When they arrive at the farmhouse, Brian clearly seems nervous as memories come flooding back. Sadly, though, he learns that his mother has passed away. He seems to be at peace with the news, as for a moment he reflects on the great life he now has. But things take a turn for the worse when the farmer reveals that they stuffed Brian's mother, Biscuit, and turned her into a side table.
Well, I say, someone must have said a funny because your mother's in stitches. I'll leave you to grieve.
The two of them carry Biscuit's body out of the farmhouse to give her a proper burial. Later, the two are riding the train back to Quahog.
Wow, look at all those stars.
He thanks Stewie for his help throughout the day, and Stewie, in a moment of rare sincerity, expresses that he actually had fun, perhaps bonded by their shared mommy issues. They then break out into a song.
We're off on the road to Rhode Island.
The lyrics of the song are about how they are a pair of partners. And with some gentle ribbing, the two complete the arc that comes with so many classic road trip movies, ambivalent travel partners in the story as friends. Road to Rhode Island is not just the beginning of a beautiful friendship, but a landmark episode for Family Guy. The episode is the first of what would become 8 Road to episodes on the show. The episodes are parodies of the famous Road to movies starring Bing Crosby, Bob Hope, and Dorothy Lamour. The films feature the trio on the road to places like Morocco, Bali, Rio, and Singapore.
And here's a bit of Hollywood trivia regarding tonight's episode. The song that Brian and Stewie sing,
We're off on the road to Rhode Island,
was actually from the 1941 film Road to Morocco.
We're off on the road to Morocco. This taxi is tough on the spine.
Starring Bob Hope and Bing Crosby, the sweet old crooner who used to punch his kids in the face for not eating their green beans.
Right, Bing Crosby?
That's right, Peter. And if your kids give you any lip, you can beat them with a sack of sweet Valencia oranges.
That doesn't sound right.
Are you giving me lip, boy? 'Cause I'll take this belt off and put the smack down on you. Is that what you want?
Ow!
Eh?
Hey, ow, ow,
Take one of those.
hey.
Huh?
But my God, he sang so beautifully that it just makes it okay, doesn't it?
The films, with their mix of comedy, adventure, romance, and song, embody perfectly the sensibilities of McFarlane, whose fondness for the show tunes of classical Hollywood is clear not only in Family Guy, but in nearly every aspect of his show business career. The Road to episode is an early example of when Family Guy is at its best, when its stories center around parody and homage. Some of the best examples are their spoofs of Star Wars.
Play that same song! All right, same song, here we go!
Or the fantastic hour-long first episode of Season 9, And Then There Were Fewer, which takes its inspiration from the work of Agatha Christie. The culturally literate staff of Family Guy is at its best when figuring out how to have their characters exist in these recreations of already existing worlds. And for a show that is so grounded in references and one-liners, it's a chance for that special kind of absurd, situational humor to drive the plot in an interesting way. And the Road to episodes are a prime example of this, with the added benefit that they can be returned to again and again. But they're also a whole lot more. These episodes act as a reprieve from the usual antics of the Griffin household. I mean, just look at Road to Rhode Island again. The Brian Stewie storyline is excellent, but the Peter Lois storyline is the kind of tired sitcom storyline that the show is trying to move away from, where Peter gets into some hijinks and Lois finds a way to forgive him in the end. These parody and homage episodes instead give the viewer a chance to explore the world beyond Quahog, and often give Stewie and Brian the chance to further develop their relationship and wonderful chemistry that we got to see in new light in Road to Rhode Island. In the 5th season, there is Road to Rupert. In that episode, Brian accidentally sells Stewie's beloved teddy bear, Rupert, at a yard sale. After Brian initially tries to cover it up, Stewie learns the truth. Devastated, he does everything he can try to do to get Rupert back, with an assist from Brian.
Won't you lend me your name?
Who sings that song?
James Taylor.
Yeah, let's keep it that way.
And then there's the acclaimed first episode of Season 8, Rhode to the Multiverse. Using his genius in ways outside matricide, Stewie shows Brian a device he built to enter parallel universes. They travel from universe to universe, with Stewie struggling to figure out how exactly to control the device.
Love it.
Hate it. Love it.
Hate it.
Finally, they enter one universe that, for Brian, is out of a dream. Dogs rule, with humans as their pets. Overwhelmed, Brian decides that he wants to stay in this universe and breaks the device. The episode raises interesting questions about Brian's own free will, how he sees himself in the human world, and the peculiar place he occupies between dog and man. The Rhode 2 subseries has a great impact on other aspects of the show. The episodes give us a chance to spend time with Brian and Stewie, leaving room for other episodes and subplots between the two that emerge as some of the show's best. Among the most famous is Back to the Pilot, which Entertainment Weekly named the best episode of the series.
You look like a prize at some Mexican church carnival.
Excellent. The mind control device is nearing completion.
Brian and Stewie time travel to the show's pilot, where Brian warns his past self about the 9/11 attacks.
Oh, I can't even express how mad I am at you right now.
But the decision ends up having catastrophic effects, and the duo have to go back and fix everything, culminating in one of Stewie's and the show's most famous lines.
Oh, there it is. We did it, Brian. We made 9/11 happen. High five!
All right, high five!
Brian does some other minor things too, like change the past to make it so that he was the author of the Harry Potter novels. The problem relies on Stewie to fix, with him keeping his friend's ego in check and making sure that reality is restored.
Get the back in your time machine! Just get back in your time machine, get back to the present, and stay there!
And then there's also the emotionally deep, appropriately titled episode, Brian and Stewie. The episode solely focuses on the two of them, exploring their codependent relationship. Stewie accompanies Brian to his safety deposit box. While there, they get locked inside and trapped until the bank reopens. They pass the time by drinking a bottle of scotch Brian keeps in his box and get into a series of fights. At one point, Stewie discovers that Brian has a gun in his safety deposit box.
Hey, Bri.
Yeah?
How come you have a gun?
I keep it in case I ever want to commit suicide, okay? You know, I've tried to find meaning in my life, and I just can't.
We don't cut away or have a usual, you think that's bad, Family Guy distraction. This is a serious moment where Brian reflects on his life. As someone who is neither fully dog nor man, he feels out of place. He doesn't have the carefree nature of dogs, nor the ability to truly live as a human.
You're my only friend, Brian. If I didn't have you, I'd be lost.
You'd be okay.
No, I wouldn't. I don't really care for anybody else, just you.
Well, thanks.
I mean, I love you as one loves another person whom one simply cannot do without.
I love you too, Stewie.
The moment is so powerful, not just because it's such a strong deviation from what we usually expect from Family Guy, but because it is the culmination of the hours we have spent watching Brian and Stewie fight, laugh, and work their way through the strangest of circumstances together. The seeds of this moment, and so many of the show's best moments, are planted all the way back in Season 2, in the episode The Road to Rhode Island, which is why I think that's the day Family Guy was born.
Good night, everybody.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. It's been years since I talked about Family Guy in my The Day Family Guy Died video, but that's still far and away my most popular video on the channel. So it was a lot of fun getting to come back, examine Family Guy from a different perspective. Leave a comment below, let me know what you thought of the video, let me know if you agree, or let me know if you disagree. What do you think is the first perfect episode of Family Guy? Just in some way, if you can engage with this video, like it, share it, leave a comment, whatever you can do to appease the algorithm god, so that way it helps motivate them to push this video into more eyeballs and ear holes. Shout out to my patrons for supporting the channel, If you want to support Entertain the Elk also and help me make more videos and get exclusive content and behind the scenes rewards, I'll have a link below so you can go check it out. I'm pretty sure, not 100% sure, but pretty sure that my next video is going to take me about a month to edit. It's going to be far and away my biggest essay I've ever done, coinciding with this new film podcast I'm releasing. So if you want to make sure you don't miss it, make sure you're subscribed, make sure you click that really annoying stupid bell below so that way you're notified whenever it comes out. I really can't wait for you all to see it. I've been working on it for a long time, and yeah, just really excited. Thanks again everyone for watching this video, and I will see you all soon.